Greetings everyone, my name is Etterville, and welcome back to my Let's Play of Make a Good Mega Man Level Contest 2, or Magmal 2 for short. During the last part, I completed my favorite entry stage, the stage nobody asked for. Now off screen, I decided to download and equip this custom costume of Fan from Rockman Strategy, a Japanese-only strategy RPG starring the Rockman characters. This custom skin was created by the users Geno2925 as well as Dragon FakeU. And Shadow Man does have a reason to be creeped out a bit, but we won't find out the reason why until I complete the main game. Over here is the teleporter that leads to the bottom of Tier 10. Basically, if you want to quickly access the top 5 entries in Tier 10, just use this teleporter. I find it interesting that Voltman is placed under the first place winner. I wouldn't say that, Voltman. Anyways, the winner of the entire Magmal 2 competition is Identity Crisis by Shinryu, with an average score of 46.8. This is Jupi, Hornet, and Guri's favorite entry stage of them all. And I'd say this is my third or fourth favorite entry stage of them all. It has 1 energy element and 5 noble nickels. Let's do it. Slow opening over here. We have rather ominous music here. Nice background and foreground combination you have going here. And we start with the simple Metars. Rather easy to destroy too. I mean, look how slowly the projectiles are coming out. A lot easier than the regular garden variety Metars. So in we go into this yellow Galaxy Man teleporter. And out we come as Hornet Man, who only has access to, of course, the Hornet Chaser. And to the right is a mini remix of Hornet Man stage. This stage can be divided into 5 parts, or 5 sections. The first 4 sections are basically where you play as a Roadmaster through a mini remix version of the original level. Like in this case, we're playing as Hornet Man going through Hornet Man's original stage. Sadly, we don't have all the original enemies from Hornet Man's stage. We do have the original music and background and foreground aesthetics though. The 5th and final one focuses on a combination of all the previous 4 Roadmasters that we learned throughout the stage. Also, I gotta say, nice introduction to how the Hornet Chaser works. In case you didn't use Hornet Chaser throughout this contest, or this is one of the first stages you played in this game, or you haven't played Mega Man 9 yet. I mean, Shinryu didn't have to do this. They didn't need to assume that players didn't know how to use the Hornet Chaser, but they did anyway, so that's a nice plus. Also, as an important note, every section has a noble nickel hidden in it, and I'd say the first one was the one I missed the most. In fact, during my first playthrough of the stage, I completely overlooked where it was. This room is showcasing how the homing properties of the Hornet Chaser work, because you can't just destroy the blocks normally without these Docrons. Also, nice introduction of the up and down concrete platforms. Normally you would think that you can't transition upwards on top of a moving object, but this is a Magmal engine, so you can. This isn't Mega Man Maker's engine. That's why I overlooked it during my first playthrough. And yet I missed it, of course. Wonderful. I think you can backtrack onto the left and do it that way. However, it's a one-way. Well, I have to take a debt here because I want to get that Noble Nickel during this LP, or during this playthrough, I mean. Thankfully though, the checkpoint placement for the stage is on the rather generous side. There seems to be 2 checkpoints per stage, one at the beginning and one at the center. That's how you're intended to do that. It's really easy to do, but somehow I screwed it up there. I didn't wait long enough, basically. And that was the mini recreation of Hornet Man's stage. I'd say that they are a third or a quarter of the length of the original levels. And now we move on to Jewel Man and the recreation of his own stage. And like before, showcasing how the Jewel Satellite works, how it can deflect enemy projectiles back at them, and how to use it. This is showcasing how the reflect blocks can just reflect the Jewel Satellite back. Gotta say, this stage takes quite a bit of inspiration from the Day in the Limelight series of fan games. In those 2 fan games, you played as Roadmasters going through various levels, using their various abilities to get through the stages. It's quite a shame that the 3rd entry in the series was cancelled, or put on indefinite hiatus. It was looking to be one of the best in the series. And now we have white Benkeis for whatever reason. I guess we have white Benkeis over here because with a normal Benkei, their spears will just get reflected by the Jewel Satellite. But with the white Benkeis, it'll just go right through the Jewel Satellite. This is demonstrating to us that we shouldn't necessarily use the Jewel Satellite everywhere. Like for this segment, we want to avoid using the Jewel Satellite almost entirely because of a Noble Nickel coming up. And here it is, the second Noble Nickel. Yep, it just plinks off the Jewel Satellite. Now onto Nitro Man and his mini remix stage. This introductory segment, just like the previous 2, is showcasing several scenarios where the wheel cutter can be super useful. Like before, that was showcasing several enemy scenarios. This is showcasing how we can use the wheel cutter to climb up walls. And these fan fiends are a bit different because they pull us towards them. In fact, we gotta use the green fan fiend in the previous room in order to make the jump there. And this screen is introducing us to the Ringman platforms. I'm not sure if this was used in an earlier level. Yeah, it was. It was used in Aurora Man. And in order to get the third noble nickel, we just need to go to the left. Hang on over here. Get over here, and there's our third noble nickel. Easy peasy. I say that the first and fifth noble nickels are the most difficult to obtain. The first because you can easily overlook it if you don't pay attention to that platform, and the fifth you'll see at the end of the level. And that was Nitro Man's mini remix stage. Now we're on to Bright Man's recreation. I found it interesting though, with the previous 3 Roadmasters, they all originated from Mega Man 9 or Mega Man 10, but now we have a Roadmaster from Mega Man 4. Remember these blocks back from Cyberman's stage? Once you activate the Flash Stopper, they become pass-through, but once the Flash Stopper duration ends, they become solid again. This will be important in this section and the following section. And it seems that the White Band Ks are super weak against everything. This screen is showcasing how turning on the Flash Stopper can be problematic in some scenarios. At least we can quickly shut it off by using the quick weapon switch. And in order to jump on top of these Yoku blocks, you need to activate the Flash Stopper. Nothing too difficult so far, but now we're introduced to a new enemy type, something that was only present in this stage. Basically, when the Flash Stopper isn't active, these flashing enemies, they can't harm you at all and they're frozen in place. But once you activate the Flash Stopper, it phases them into reality and unfreezes them. This is a super unique gimmick, and I wish it was used more in other stages. It's pretty well utilized in this stage, but I would like to see it taken further or used in other levels, maybe in Mega Man Maker, or maybe in future Magma levels. It's just so creative and has a lot of interesting, it just has a lot of creative potential. You want to take the upper route here in order to gain access to the 4th Noble Nickel. And there's our 4th one. This was the hardest of the 4 sections, but it wasn't too bad. But here the music stops, ominous once again. And now we have some rather serious upbeat music. This is the 5th and final section of the stage, where we have a combination of all the gimmicks and enemies we've seen in the previous 4 sections but combined. Not to mention that we'll be quickly switching between each of the 4 Roadmasters. Like think of the first 4 sections as the tutorial or learning grounds, and this section as the final exam. The fact that the reflect blocks can drop down was introduced in the previous section. So nice escalation of challenges. Now we swap over to Jewel Man. I'm not sure if we were introduced to the coil platforms, but I assume we were. The only problem with playing as Hornet Man is the fact that he looks bigger than what his hitbox actually is. His hitbox is the same as Mega Man's. Now for this section we have the choice of playing as either Hornet Man or Bright Man. But of course, for this one, we need to get up there somehow in order to activate that. Of important note is the fact that if Bright Man activates the Flash Stopper and then you switch over to Hornet Man, the Flash Stopper will be still active for the remaining duration. To do this, switch over to Hornet Man and sneak in there. Well, that works. Now back to Jewel Man. I do like how the Yoko blocks are shown in the background before they spawn in, so you know in advance where you're supposed to land on. I do like how we're quickly switching between each of the Roadmasters now. I do wish there was more screens like where you have to quickly switch between Hornet Man as well as Bright Man. That was super neat. And we're at the end of the stage. And in fact this was a training facility. I guess for training the other Roadmasters, or training how the other Roadmasters work. Now if there's another minor critique I have about this stage, it's the fact that the optional challenge on the left should have been mandatory. I mean, it's a perfect ending point for this level. Basically what's on the left is a boss fight. And that's the only way to get the 5th and final Noble Nickel along with several rewards. And for this boss fight we have the choice of playing as either Mega Man or 4 Roadmasters that we've seen before. Now, just for fun, I'll be going through this Roadmaster fight as my favorite Roadmaster of the bunch, Nitro Man. So let's do it. And here's the boss, Alter Man. The reason why he's so fitting for this type of stage is the fact that he has access to all the Roadmaster weapons that Mega Man has access to. and you can see which weapon we'll be switching to based off the quick weapon switch icon on top of him. And by defeating him, we gain access to his costume. But as I just said, this would be a much perfect ending for the stage and rather make this non-optional. Instead, make a 5th and final Noble Nickel challenge which requires usage of all the 4 Roadmasters. That would fit perfectly with the common theme of how to get the Noble Nickels in the previous 4 sections. But once again, that's a minor quibble. Ending the stage with a fight against Ultraman is super fitting, especially considering that we swap between all the Roadmasters and their unique weapons. We learn how they work, and then we utilize them to their fullest potential. And because of how creative this stage was, that's why it got into first place. And it has several creative setups using only half the special weapons in this engine. Well, less than half if we discount the utilities. I just wish the 5th and final section was taken further and utilized more sections where you have to quickly switch between different Roadmasters. I mean, switch repeatedly, like that one segment with Hornet Man as well as Sprite Man, where we need to activate the Bright Stopper, or rather Flash Stopper, and then with the remaining duration, use the Hornet Chaser on the left in order to access the next part of the level. I wouldn't mind playing through an extended version of this stage, or we actually play as the Roadmasters who have access to the 4 other special weapons. That'd be awesome. And that's true, there's no poor level design whatsoever in this stage. There are very minor annoyances and quibbles, like the fact that Ultraman should be a mandatory boss fight, the 5th and final Noble Nickel should be in a challenge section just like the 4 previous sections, as well as the 5th section having more mixes or Roadmasters instead of it being more like a relay, but overall it's amazing. That's true, especially if you try to fight him as regular Mega Man, but if you fight him with one of the Roadmasters, he's much easier. You saw how the Wheel Cutter deals 3 points of damage per shot. And don't you worry, I'll be fighting Ultraman at least twice more throughout this LP. And in those 2 encounters, I will be fighting him as basic Mega Man, so it'll be closer to a mirror match. And yes, there are many right ways to do forced weapon usage after all. This is one of the stages that really well showcases it. Just like how the previous stage, the stage nobody asked for, showcased several hated aspects of Mega Man that can be used pretty well, and aren't inherently bad. And unlike the previous stage, it isn't as polarizing. So if I were to score the stage, I'd easily give it a 47 or 48 out of 50. It's an amazing stage overall, almost flawless, and I'd love to see an extended version of this level. Nice build up, nice introduction to how each of the Roadmasters work, how they function, how their weapons work, nice introduction to gimmicks, and nice culmination at the end and nice recombination of challenges. This stage wasn't on the difficult side like how the previous stage was, but it is certainly doable for an average Mega Man player. It's a bit long, but it's fun overall. Doesn't get boring, doesn't get repetitive. So in the next part, I'll be tidying up a bunch of stuff in the hub world, and then I'll embark into the Wily Fortress, or rather the Wily Star Mach 2. Well then, thanks for watching, and have a nice day. Toodles!